No plans at the moment, anyway, Mr. Diedemar. Can I say the last point that's been made by my colleague from the National Parliament, I think, is the essential point, that a lot of work needs to go into this, and I don't think people should be rushing at this because of the issues that have been raised. I think two guiding principles have to inform our debate. Number one, no member state can be forced to do something which it believes is not in its national interest. And I very much welcome what Alain Lamassoure said earlier, my friend and colleague from France, that the principle of unanimity will apply to this proposal, because no one can be forced to do something that it believes is not in its national interest. Secondly, no member state can be forced to do something that, in its view, would diminish its tax base. And that's really the fundamental issue here. I think a lot of the colleagues have meant the point that there is very little credibility thus far in the assessment that's been made about the impact that this would make. If I can give one example in my own country of Ireland, we take in about $7.5 billion on corporate tax. Half of that comes from effectively 10 taxpayers, very large multinationals who have come to our country, employ hundreds of thousands of people in real communities, paying real mortgages and real European citizens, not brass-plate operations. But two-thirds of those 10 taxpayers could be adversely affected in terms of the tax take lost to Ireland. So this is a substantial issue that affects smaller member states with highly industrialised societies. I listened to you, Madame Perez, in your good time. Highly industrialised societies which didn't have industrial revolutions in the 60s and 70s, and to take up the point that Paul raised, moved away from factory-led economies. And we have got to be conscious of that. 7 member states have given a reasoned opinion here. A huge amount of work needs to go on to make sure that those member state parliaments who have clearly had their view expressed and articulated here today need to be listened in this parliament, and that these points cannot be just ignored by a majority view that exists within this parliament and railroaded out, for those of us who have a significant minority opinion have to ensure that our voices is heard on this issue. This is an issue of an attempt by some larger member states to go after smaller member states in this aggressive way, and I think there's a very fundamental issue. My final point, the digital turnover tax. This is a very interesting concept. It's based not on the principle of profit, but of turnover. And I think we need to think about that for a moment, because if that is the case, this could very well help the largest multinationals who can absorb a loss of profit as against smaller European businesses by going down this particular route. And I think it is perceived to be a fundamental tax on one sector of the economy which has an ownership in the United States of America. And that is perceived to be a very anti-competitive policy against the United States of America. So we have a long way to travel on this issue, and I think we all need to work together and listen to each other in the course of this debate. Thank you, President.